everyone, welcome back. So, the latest episode of Boys Season 5 is getting hit with a familiar criticism. Fans are calling it filler, but that label doesn't really hold up once you look at what the episode is actually doing. Episode 4, titled King of Hell, takes a noticeable step away from fast moving plot progression and instead focuses heavily on character conflict. And for some viewers, that's a problem. As the show moves closer to its endgame, there's an expectation that every episode should deliver major twists, shocking reveals, and constant forward momentum. So when an episode slows things down, it's easy for people to assume nothing important happened. But there's a misunderstanding. There's a misunderstanding of how storytelling works, especially in a show like The Boys. Right from the beginning, the episode is built around tension within the group. After the brutal events involving Homelander and his son in the previous episode, the team is fractured. Yugi and Butcher are constantly clashing, unable to agree on how they got here and what to do next. That internal conflict becomes the central focus more than any external mission. Yes, the team heads out on what seems like a major objective, tracking down the last remaining V1 serum, but the mission itself isn't really the point. In fact, the outcome of the mission is intentionally underwhelming. The serum isn't there, and on the surface, it feels like a dead end. That's exactly why some fans are calling it filler. But the reality is, this episode uses that failed mission as a backdrop to explore something much more important: the emotional and psychological state of its character. Instead of pushing the plot forward in obvious ways, it digs deeper into what's driving everyone beneath the surface. Take Butcher, for example. His toxic behavior and self destructive tendencies are becoming impossible to ignore. MM is starting to see the consequences of aligning with him, and that tension is clearly building towards something bigger. These aren't small details, they are setting up major payoffs later in the season. At the same time, Homelander's storyline continues to evolve. His dynamic with Soldier Boy adds a new layer of complexity, especially as the relationship begins to fracture. This isn't just background drama, it's laying the groundwork for a potentially explosive conflict between two of the most powerful characters in the series. Then there's Annie, also known as Starlight. Her return to her childhood home brings a completely different perspective into the story. Through her interactions with her father, the episode explores how ordinary people view someone like Homelander. It highlights the unsettling reality that support for him isn't just about fear, it's also rooted in belief, loyalty, and denial. Even small character moments carry weight. The relationship between Kimiko and Frenchie reaches a breaking point, delivering one of the most emotional scenes in the episode. It's quiet, it's painful, and it shows just how far apart they have grown. None of this is filler. In fact, this episode is packed with meaningful development, and it doesn't just present them in the usual high impact way. Instead of explosion and major reveals, it focuses on consequences, relationship, and internal struggle. It's about characters and confronting who they are and what they have become. There's also a bigger issue here with how audiences define filler. The term originally comes from anime, where it describes episodes that don't contribute to the main story at all. But in modern TV discussion, it's often used for anything that isn't constantly advancing the plot. That's a much narrower and less accurate definition. Shows like Avatar: The Last Airbender and even Star Trek has faced criticism in the past despite using slower episodes to build character depth and emotional stakes. The Boys is doing the same thing here. By taking a step back at this point in the season, the show is strengthening its foundation for what's coming next. It's showing cracks in relationship, deepening motivation, and setting up conflicts that will matter far more than any single plot twist. So, no, this episode isn't filler, it's a deliberate pause, a moment to let everything simmer before the story reaches its boiling point. And when it does, episode like this are what will make those big moments actually hit. Thank you for watching. Bye.